Hello, hello. Well, I am having a little break from my podcast. I am on a little holiday and I haven't done that for a very long time. So I'm very grateful for you for letting me take some time off. What a good boss you are. Oh, you're a good boss. And I will be back on October the 20th. But in the meantime, I wanted to share with you some gorgeous interviews I did with some very, very special people. This was created for the Energy Club. And in the Energy Club, there's lots of bonus content. So you might want to join my Energy Club. If you like this podcast, Energy Club get 3 podcasts a week. We have a special extra exclusive podcast on a Wednesday just for them. So maybe you could join that. But if you don't want to do that, you can just listen along to these interviews with my gorgeous friends. Enjoy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Energy Club. I'm Lisa O'Neill, and I'm very bloody excited about today. To be fair, I spend most of my life excited, but I'm very excited about this podcast. So every month we have a podcast with a health expert that I want to share because it's my club and I get to decide. So the health expert, I'm bloody excited about this. My beautiful friend and world-class naturopath, Susan Hunter, is with us today, and we're going to be yabbering about our physical health. We're going to be talking about the importance of looking after ourselves, how we can be kind of proactive and self-responsible. So I wrote in the energy book that I reckon we get a body, right? When we're born, we get a body. I think of it as a rental car. So it's a rental car that you get to use and you drop it back at death. And I reckon the state of your rental car depends on how well you treat it. Now, Susan is a rental car expert. She is all about, with the fuel you're going to put in your rental car, how we're going to look after ourselves and just take care of this big, enormous sack of sausages that we walk around in all day, because there's a lot to look after. And I think this should be taught in schools. If I was in charge of the world, I think there would be naturopathy teachings in every school, because I think it's the most important thing ever. So welcome, Susan.
Hi, Lisa.
How are you?
I am so good. So good.
Yay. Thank you for being here. I'm so bloody excited to share you with the world. I'm going to start off by telling everyone how we kind of met. So Susan and I met at a business school, and I was, to be fair, I think the official term is fucked. I was pretty fucked. One of my kids was in hospital. I was very stressed. I'd just taken on a really big role. I had a lot of shit going on. And Susan came up to me and said, "Are you okay?" And I went, "Yeah, I don't know. I think I need something, like shit." And I've always been really keen. I've worked with a naturopath for, over 20 years, and I love that. At the time, I wasn't working with anybody, and Susan just popped up and was like, "Hey, do you want a hand? Are you okay today?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I need some help, and I don't even know where to start. What do you reckon I should take just so I can stay alive for the next 3 months?" And Susan went, "Wait right there," and disappeared. And then returned with a bag of stuff and a whole lot of ideas. And oh my God, I'll be forever grateful. And we've worked together ever since, haven't we?
I remember that day very clearly. Yeah. The whole idea was to keep you upright. And it was really simple. We just needed some nutritional raw materials and the cofactors for energy and stress support that day. And it worked out pretty well. Look at you now.
I know, right? How good is that? And I still take everything Susan tells me, so that's good. And at one point, I'm a bit of a pain in the ass as a client, to be fair. And I'm not very good at swallowing tablets, and I had a little tantrum, didn't I? And then you made me a special powder. Yeah. Oh my God, I had my own. My family were horrified that I was so high maintenance that I had my own, and it was called Lisa powder. Like, I wish that for all of you listening. I want you all to have your own powder with all the shit in you need, made up by a special chemist, right? Isn't that so cool?
Yeah, it's always got to be unique. It's got to match you, not just be a cookie cutter approach to your health.
I think that's my favourite thing about naturopathy, because I think a lot of people assume we're all the same, and we're so not, right? Like, even if you and I are the same age with the same number of kids doing the same job, all of our genes and all of our shit's going to be different, right? Some people can handle stress, some people can't.
Absolutely.
Like, it's always different, isn't it?
Yeah, like everyone's got a different constitution. We've got different genetics. We've got different experiences of the same illness. You and I both may have diabetes, but we'll have different contributing factors and ways that plays out for us. So our treatment approach to that will be slightly different. It'll, need to be a bespoke, individualized approach.
Yeah, 100%. There's a couple of things that really annoy me. One of the things that really annoys me is people think that naturopaths are like weird fucking hippies with bells around their ankles and who are just going to make you smoke weed or something, and that they don't, they're not real doctors. And it really pisses me off because I think, don't get me wrong, doctors are amazing and I think medical professionals are extraordinary and I think they're very good, but they're designed to treat problems, not necessarily be proactive. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, well, look, there was my fair share of other students when I was doing my health science degree that, did have the patchouli smelling, kind of dreadlock look going on, and they were on the hippie end of the spectrum. But there is such a spectrum and there's lots of different ways to treat. My approach when I first graduated almost 20 years ago was to take a very evidence-based approach because I didn't have the clinical experience to back myself with my decision-making when it came to my treatment plan. So what I do is rely on what the research had told us, but they were through using nutritional and herbal treatments. And so it was a good way to kind of have that peace of mind that what I was prescribing was safe and effective. And then over time, I've sort of been able to integrate a little bit more of the, traditional naturopathic principles and be able to get results. And I think people think that naturopathy is not evidence-based, but when you go and look at a medical database and just look up one particular nutrient, you'll see thousands of articles and studies that back the use of these things. So the research is catching up with the traditional philosophies of natural medicine.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, having a doctor and a naturopath is a really good idea because they serve in my world, they serve completely different purposes. And so I will go to a doctor and go, oh, what's going on here? And they'll go, oh, this is the problem. And then I will ring Susan and go, what do I do about that? What do I do if my thyroid's up or down or whatever the thing is. Now, I really love the other thing that pisses me off is people who don't take responsibility for their health and who they won't spend money on their bodies. They won't spend money on their health, and I get really frustrated. So there's people, obviously, this is kind of a privileged conversation because there's people who can't afford to pay for proactive health treatments, and I completely understand and really empathize with that. And my children, for example, 3 of them are full-blown adults, and I'm still funding all of their supplements and things because they can't afford them. God, they're lucky to have me. They can't afford them because they are on low wages and they're out in the workplace for the first time. But I think it pisses me off that you have to, that it is a privileged conversation. But what annoys me even more is people with money in their bank who won't spend it on their bodies and then have terrible health outcomes and whinge all the time. And I'm like, mate, what are you doing about that? Because, they'll build a new fence for their house, they'll put new plants in their garden, but they won't find out why their skin's constantly itching and why they're a grumpy cow. I just think, to me, it's so important. And do you come up against that a lot where people sort of don't want to spend money on their health?
I think I'm in a very fortunate position that mostly the people that come to me are very actively enrolled in wanting to be well. I think it's a bit complicated though. Some people identify themselves by their illness, and if they weren't chronically fatigued or had fibromyalgia, who would they be? But the whole
that's a good call, isn't it?
Yeah.
Some people do. And I think it's obviously not conscious, right? Because no one rocks around going, I want an illness. But once they get the illness, it's part of their identity, isn't it?
Yeah, and quite often they've had it for a really long time. But I think people tend to bury their head in the sand, generally speaking, when it comes to their health. There can be shame around feeling like they don't eat well or they're not really being proactive and moving on a daily basis. So they tend to just avoid it. So it's an avoidance thing. But I think people get to middle age, and when they start to see aging parents and what their health is doing, and they start to feel their genetics playing out, they are often kind of put into action to actually start doing something. And it's not too late. It's a really good time to start being proactive and reversing some of the things that are starting to take off.
Yeah, one of my friends said to me the other day, do you know what, Lisa? 50 is fucking motivating. And I'm like, it really is, right? Because you start to run out of those good points that you have just because you're young, and you start to think, shit, I'm going to have to start doing some stretching, and I'm going to have to start taking some supplements and drinking more water, because I am a dried out, dropped off, stressed out, fucking uptight, tight mess. And yeah, I think that's kind of definitely.
You have a greater appreciation for what your body was able to do for you in your 20s and your 30s, and maybe even well into your 40s, depending on where you're at constitutionally. But eventually, genetic mutations start expressing, the aging process takes hold, and then things start to go wrong. But we're so lucky. We've got really amazing testing available to us. We can genetically profile ourselves now. We've got so much research out there that's giving us a lot of great tips, tricks, ways that we can be living that can reverse the clock. We're talking about living beyond 100 healthily these days.
I know, I love that. And there's a lot of cool podcasts, and there's the Netflix Blue Zone stuff. There's lots of information out there, I think, that's really helping people to get their heads around some of the stuff. And there's more awareness, right, than my parents think that that sausages are healthy and you should have bread at every meal. And, they compared to what they believe, I think that's kind of cool that we've come, with awareness, we've come a long way, which I kind of like.
Absolutely.
And the other thing that I think is funny is that people always assume that naturopaths are going to be so healthy, they're like, I remember not long after I started working with you, and I was out one night eating dessert and having wine, and Mark's like, oh, you're going to tell Susan about that? And I was like, yeah, I am, because when Susan and I go out, we have cocktails. And it's kind of part of you don't have to be a health saint.
Yeah.
Like, it's all or nothing, I think.
Yeah. I remember when I first came out of college, my website was thepracticalnaturopath.com. And I think ever since then, I've just taken on the philosophy that you've got to be a realist and you've got to be pragmatic, and being a purist only leads to more stress. We've got this whole eating disorder called orthorexia, where people get so obsessive about eating healthily that it makes them sick. It's very...
What's it called? I've never heard of that. What's it called?
Orthorexia.
Orthorexia. So is that when you are so hyper vigilant about being healthy?
Yeah, and you control everything that you eat. It's got to be a superfood. And that's the other thing, is sort of jumping on superfood bandwagons and just not being discerning about whether or not it's actually good for you. But it might be trending on TikTok. It doesn't mean it's necessarily the right thing for you.
Yeah, 100%. Hey, so tell me, if someone's listening to this and they're feeling like a health wasteland, and they're going, oh my God, I've got to get my shit together. Like, I just feel like I don't even know what's good for me. I don't even know where to begin. What are some really hot tips for the beginner's health, physical health? What do you reckon?
Oh, so my favorite thing that I think is the biggest quick win you can get is ensuring that you're eating protein at every single meal time and snack time. So that means red meat, chicken, fish, eggs, some form of dairy. They're all first-class proteins. And what those do is they automatically will stabilize your blood sugars. They will level out your energy and your mood as well. So if you start doing that, you will find that you can get a really big improvement in your energy levels across the day.
Yeah, nice. So if I was having a snack of because I'm a bit of a hard-boiled egg girl, quite like, I'm not a good dairy girl, but I like a hard-boiled egg, and I have lots of nuts. What else would be? Oh, like fish too, right?
Yep. I had 3 boiled eggs this morning on some gluten-free toast. It's one of my favorite things. Yeah. That's perfect. Nuts are great. You want to sort of combine, like if you're going to have fruit, like have it with a bit of yogurt or have it with a handful of raw nuts, and that'll just carry those sugars, and you won't get a big spike and crash. You'll just get a really nice sort of level kind of blood sugar experience, and that means your energy follows those blood sugars as well. So cereals, muffins, toast with butter on it is just not acceptable. You've got to add something into that that's going to give you some protein and sustain you.
Oh my God, I hate cereal. I think cereal should be banned for life. I literally hate them, and I won't have them in my house. And as you know, I've got 3 type 1 diabetic children, and I'm like, why would you eat these fucking ear popped carbohydrates with nothing?
Yeah.
Oh my God, the number of, like I've got an issue, as you know, with the number of ingredients and things. And you look at the number of ingredients in some cereals and it's just gazillions of shit in a box with a shiny label on it. And I'm like, why would you eat that? Why? Like, I don't get it. I've had a cooked breakfast every day. Like I love cooked breakfast. I love eggs. I'm an egg freak, and I loved and sardines on toast. I'm obsessed with sardines at the moment.
Sardines are amazing. Me too. I've been cycling through lots of different brands that are out there. They are the best protein because they're also really high in EPA and DHA, those healthy omega-3 fats, and all those little bones in them are really high in calcium as well. So they just tick lots of boxes.
Oh, I just love them with a bit of balsamic vinegar and all mashed up on a bit of toast. It's like, oh my God, yum.
Yeah.
Like, how good is that? Yeah, I love that. So what else? Apart from protein, what's another really good starters tip?
I think for starters, if you are doing zero exercise, just aiming to go for a walk around the block after each mealtime. So that we've known through the research done with continuous glucose monitors on people will help stabilize your blood sugars. Even if you're eating a really high carb meal like a risotto or a pasta, it really works well. There's even more recent research. It's saying even doing like 15 squats on the spot will have the same effect, if not better. So just being really intentional about a little bit of movement, even just like around the block or 10 minutes after a meal makes a big difference to your blood glucose levels.
See, I thought after you ate, you had to sit still so your body could process your food.
No. I think that's what a lot of people have thought, but it's definitely a really good hack for helping get glucose under control, which tends to get pretty out of control if you're eating a typical kind of Western diet and you're pretty sedentary.
Yeah, wow. Okay, that's good. Now, what about water? Water's hard to get into yourself enough, isn't it? I have a theory that you should have a glass of. I never turn down water, so everywhere I go, if someone says, "Would you like a drink?" I go, "Yes, I'll have water," and I force myself. So on the plane, even if I want to, I'm lying on a plane half asleep, and the air hostess comes, and I think I don't want. I think I have to. It's my rule because I try and get as much water. I can't carry bloody drink bottles. I'm sick of them, and so I need to just have water wherever I can. But tell me about your theories on hydration.
Well, I think there's like 2 classes of people. You're either a sipper and you'll carry a water bottle around at all times, or you're a gulper. So you've just got to.
I'm a gulper.
Yeah, I'm a gulper as well. So I'll just go 2 hours no water. But when I get up, I try and get like a good 600 or 800 mils in out of a really big glass. And every time you have a coffee, if you're a coffee drinker, you've got to match it with an extra glass of water because coffee we know is diuretic. So it will dehydrate you further. And then when it comes to like what is a good level of hydration, we don't really know. Like there used to be this little rule where they went 30 mils of water per kilo of body weight equals hydration. And years ago, there was the whole 8 glasses of water a day thing that came out of just one study and we all ran with it. But I tend to just say to clients, because I do see a lot of chronic kidney disease developing in people from midlife onwards typically. And what we want to do is just make sure that we're looking after those kidneys with hydration. So what I try and encourage people to do is obviously when you wake up in the morning, your urine's going to look quite concentrated. But as the day goes on, you want your urine to be a nice straw, light straw colour.
Right. Not like the asparagus wheeze, the bright, intense colour.
Yeah, unless you're on B vitamins, because then it will go quite yellow. But yeah, not to get too...
It's neon, isn't it? Then it's kind of neon.
Pretty
colour.
neon. But like I had a client the other day who was drinking 4+ liters of water a day, and it was just way too much. And that was like kind of ringing alarm bells for me about electrolyte imbalance, and that maybe they just weren't getting enough salt into cells. You know, they were very stressed. When we're quite stressed, we tend to cycle through our electrolytes, our minerals. So we end up quite potassium, magnesium, calcium, sodium deficient. So yeah, electrolytes are one of my really good go-to things for energy, but also for hydration, so that we're actually keeping those minerals inside the cell to do their jobs.
Oh my God, those electrolytes you've got me on, they changed my life. Like I literally have so much more energy and I can notice it if I don't take them.
Yeah,
like
they're amazing.
My body's like, hang on, you haven't had your electrolytes. I can feel it.
Yeah, because they've got the added bonus of actually helping clear acids like your pyruvates at the door of the Krebs cycle, which everyone will remember from like year 9 science, which is where we make energy inside the cell, inside the mitochondria. So when we're clearing out acids that block energy production, we're just going to make more ATP fuel and be more energized.
Oh my God, there's so many big words there. You're so clever. I love it when you talk in those big words. I go, fuck, she knows some stuff, this girl. I love that.
Back to biology and chemistry class.
Oh my God, I don't remember anything. I had a Bunsen burner and I remember photosynthesis and a leaf or some bullshit, but that's the extent of my science. I didn't learn about electrolytes in the cell. Well, I don't know, maybe I was asleep. I probably painted my nails the day we talked about that. What about, so we've covered hydration, we've covered protein, we've covered a little bit of a little sachet around the block, a swish around the block after the meal. What about sleeping?
Oh, yeah. So I sometimes feel like, I mean, it goes from case to case, but there are times when I'm working with clients where I feel like sleep trumps nutrition, because sleep is so restorative, right? And we've had lots of research done on sleep. I really love the work of Professor Walker. Why We Sleep was his book. And what we're doing when we sleep is basically restoring and recharging and taking the learning from that day off the USB stick, putting it onto the hard drive in our brains so that we can lay down longer term memories. All of that stuff is going on. And while we're sleeping, there's a whole detox system. Our brain's got a glymphatic system, which is basically like giving your brain a shampoo while you sleep. And yeah, it's amazing. And then we've also got that sleep where we've got REM sleep for dreaming. And that is our body's way of doing emotional first aid while we sleep. So you've got to give yourself good chunks of sleep. Now, each person's going to vary. You might be great on 6 hours. You might be great on 8 or 9. And everyone will be different. But my best advice is to try and get into the habit of going to sleep at the same time every night and waking up at the same time in the morning, including the weekends, because the body is just built on circadian rhythms and body clocks that love the routine and the repetition, and you'll just get better quality sleep and get the benefits of all those things I outlined.
Yeah, wow, that's cool. I'm a real sleeper. Like, oh my God, I can sleep for days. Like, Mark is constantly astounded at how long I can sleep for. Like, I'm just such a good sleeper. Yeah. I love that. And I would love to go to bed every night at, 10 o'clock. Like, I love early. I live with hedgehogs. My family like to stay up really late. And I'm just like, and they're all like 10 o'clock at night. They're like, do you want to watch a movie? I'm like, are you joking? No, I'm going to bed. Like, I'm a bit of a sleep nerd.
I remember hearing that the best quality sleep that you get is the sleep you get before midnight. So
my mother always said that. It's the stuff before midnight that counts. Yeah. I don't know if that's true.
I don't know. I've heard it. I'm going to run with it. I know I feel much better if I'm in bed by 10 as well.
Yeah, I like that. Hey, so what if you're already kind of hydrated, you exercise every day, you're eating quite a lot of protein, you kind of got the sleep thing sorted. If you were, which I then go, you're amazing, congratulations. If you're a little bit kind of in the advanced end of health, what are some other things, maybe especially, like what are other things for different areas? Like I know there's probably a lot of us here in that 50 kind of post-menopausal market for the women who are listening, who are, our hormones get all fucked up. And I'm really big on obviously being tested, having our bloods tested. So I love data. I don't like data in a nerdy maths way, but I think I just love any information about myself. So I'm fascinated by collecting my data. How often should we be doing shit like that, like blood tests?
Because all of my work kind of revolves around your biomarkers. So when I work with everybody from the outset, I just test everything that I think is going to be relevant or contribute or help me understand and rule out differentials for what isn't going on in order to understand what is. So when I'm working with clients, I try and encourage them to retest their data points every quarter when we're doing therapeutic work. So if we have a health goal in mind, we want to make sure that we're moving the needle in the right direction, both in terms of improvement in signs and symptoms, but even internally with their biomarkers. So yeah, quite often people who are just cruising and they're doing really well probably only need to do their bloods once or twice a year. But if you are actively working on a health goal, every 3 months is when we want to just make sure things are under control and improving. And when it comes to what to focus on, if you are ticking all the boxes, doing all those amazing things like sleep, nutrition, movement, and I hope you're also doing really great sort of stress management techniques and resting and recovering from life and work. Hormones are really important to be checking. So I think for everyone, we all live really busy lives for the most part. So our stress hormones get a proper workout, and decade upon decade of releasing adrenaline and cortisol and dealing with the stresses of life, they can wear some people down. So they might end up with adrenal hypofunction, and that can contribute to exhaustion, not feeling like you've got your usual energy levels despite doing all the right things. So things like adrenal hormones need to be tested. Things like thyroid function need to be tested. And sadly for women, when they're postmenopausally, we do tend to become more insulin resistant. Our cholesterol does tend to rise. I don't know why, but it does. And we want to track that. We want to know how is our heart health? What's our heart disease risk looking like? So we can be really proactive going into that second half of our life, really confident that we're doing all the things to reverse or stop any kind of chronic diseases taking hold.
Yeah, I love that, because I think there's always different stages, right? You're always in different stages. I feel like the first stage of your life is just where, you're probably doing the partying hard and you're doing the young stuff and you're staying up late and drinking all the stuff and doing all the stuff and kind of treating your body like a hotel rather than a home. And then in the second stage, especially for women, we tend to be in that for a lot of women who have pregnancies and children, and they're exhausted and depleted and bloody having the nutrients sucked out of them literally by a human. And then we go into the third bit and it's like, God, every stage is quite hectic though, isn't it? Like it just has all different needs. We've all got different stages and different needs, I think.
Yeah. And it's a bit different for males. Like they tend to have this, they've got the same amount of testosterone released every single day of the month, year round, decades on. So they have a bit of a different experience. But that whole, 20s, we kind of don't appreciate how incredible and resilient our bodies are and what they can, take on. And then in your 30s, you tend to be just really pushing it, aren't you, for different reasons. But for women, there's that added complication of hormones, reproductive hormones that are just doing very different things, childbearing, breastfeeding, all of that stuff for females just adds an extra complexity and thing to monitor and manage.
I love that. Isn't that amazing that men get 1 drop of testosterone a month? And it's no wonder we're so different, right? Isn't that amazing? When does men's testosterone drop off? Does that happen at middle age for them as well?
It can do. There's a whole concept that a lot of people aren't aware of called andropause, which is like the male menopause. And we can see that free testosterone drop off. We can see adrenal function, like DHEAS is our resilience hormone, that can tend to be quite low. And, we want to really support healthy hormone production for that second half of life. So drop in libido, drop in energy, vitality, all of those things are signs that their testosterone levels have sort of fallen off a cliff.
Yeah. There you go. See, we've got the male menopause. I didn't know there was an official eating disorder for mega healthy people. There's all these things. I don't think I've got any risk of male menopause or getting a very healthy eating disorder because I like, rocky road too much. But I do love the idea of being sort of taking responsibility and just going, what have I done for my body today? And, being in a meat carcass is a lot of work. Right? Like I'm really noticing now, I go, right, I have to stretch. Like I stretch every morning because my tendons have got so tight since all my estrogens fucking disappeared and I've got tight tendons. So every morning I have to stretch or my feet don't work and my legs are stiff. And so I'm doing my stretching, then I'm doing my walking, then I'm doing the water and the supplements. And that's kind of my whole, what I call my opening ceremony for the day. And then in the evening, I'm so in love with my massage gun and I sit on the floor and roll around on foam rollers and use massage guns and do more stretching. But I reckon there's about 3 hours a day of body stuff.
Yeah.
Normal for you?
Yeah. And I just now look at it as an act of self-love. Like I used to feel guilty or I used to just skimp on it and look after everybody else. And then I realized that I was just neglecting myself and then my body was sending off some signals that it was out of balance for not doing it. So now I do what it needs and I listen to it and give it what it wants.
I love that. I love that, giving your body what you want. And I talk a lot about having a meeting with yourself, but I have a meeting with my body at least once a week where, I'm a big restorative yoga fan and I'll be lying in my blankets and I'll just literally go, hey, body, what do you need? And I love the idea of lying down and going, if your body had a message for you right now, what would your body say? Would it be like, could you fucking take me to the dentist? Or could you hurry up and get this lump checked already? Or could you try and get some way of the skin not itching or whatever's going on, And I think if you had to do one job, you were forced, that was going to benefit your body, what's the one thing your body is screaming out for right now? You know how you have moments where you go, God, I've got a sore tooth and you kind of keep putting it off, or you've got a little bloody skin cancery thing or something and you think, I must go and see about that, but I'll do it later. Or I think we're always putting shit off until it gets really bad. And I think trying to get there before it's really bad is obviously a good idea. But I think doing one thing and going, what have you done? I call it body banking. So what have I done to bank? My bank statement's a bit out of whack what have I done? Like I came home, I've been away doing my book tour and I came home last night and made my potassium broth and I've been chopping up all the veggies. And so today I've just been drinking my broth and I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I'm giving something back, like I'm putting some deposits in, which is...
Yeah, that's a really great way to look at it, like deposits and withdrawals. And really knowing when your body is, crying out for something. And I think intuitively we know what it needs. And just choosing one thing takes you out of overwhelm. It helps you just be able to achieve something. And then you can build on that over time. And these things do take time to build up until you've kind of habit stacked and created a whole opening ceremony / great morning routine. So yeah, even if you just take anything away from this conversation, it's like one thing that your body intuitively, needs, do that one thing for it.
Yeah, because action's so big, right? I think action and effort is so big, and having those habits, like I find my ADHD is so bad that I'm like, if I don't see something, I don't do it. So out of sight, out of mind is a really big deal for anyone with ADHD. So even though Mark would like to live as a minimalist, he chose the wrong partner. So I have to have all my vitamins out where I can see them, and like having magnesium I have it beside my bed because I get into bed and go, fuck, I didn't take my magnesium, right? And I have supplements where I can see them. I've got moisturizer next to my desk. I've got, stuff everywhere. I have my B12 melts sitting beside the coffee machine. So while I'm making my coffee, I'm having my B12. And so I try and put things where put things where they'll be. Does that make sense? So that everything I need, I now have this yummy. Oh, there's your puppy.
Oh, yeah. She's been crazy.
Cute puppies. Don't you love puppies? They're good too. Get a dog, right? Because then you have to walk. Don't you reckon?
Yeah, that's what I've had to do is
you've had to walk
it twice a day.
Yeah, how good's that? But I love that. And I now have a basket in my lounge, and I've got my foam roller, and in my basket I've got like a little reflexology kit. I've got magnesium oil for my feet. I've got my massage gun. And I just really love sitting in front of the telly at night while I'm yabbering to the kids or whatever, and I'm massaging my feet, or I'm, using my massage gun on my shoulders to get rid of any tension, and then lying under my weighted blanket. Like, there's so many cool things we can do to make our bodies better, I reckon. And I think investing in yourself is, vital. I think putting money into yourself is so important. And whether that's through getting help and, support from someone like yourself, or whether it's buying products like good supplements, or, products that are going to, like nice blankets or things that are going to support your body. Like, I've got a lovely bolster under my feet right now while I'm sitting here talking to you, and it's so yummy. It's like velvety, and I've got my feet on that. So I think there's so much we can do that, is just yummy for our bodies, right?
Yeah, you're the queen of making it all yummy. And I think I think a lot of people don't, like, I think there are women particularly that I've worked with where they don't feel like they're deserving of looking after themselves in a yummy way. And I think we've got to kind of get past that, because that's not a helpful belief. And then, you can do it really, really well. And you just are a happier, healthier person for it, right?
100%. And I think you can't avoid your body. And so I go, well, I can't avoid it. So how am I going to lean into it and make my body the best it can be? And I don't want to be a super thin suit. I mean, I look at some of these Pilates women and I think, fuck, I've never looked like that. That's just not my jam. But I think being healthy and honoring my body, is so important. I think we're so lucky to have functioning bodies, right? Like, so many people don't have functioning bodies, and I'm like, God, just, be grateful for your knees and your elbows and everything that bends. Like, just give yourself a round of applause for that, right?
Yeah,
I think that's good. I also think giving yourself little treats. I love that you do your fasts, and I'm excited about, we're doing a winter fast. So Susan does fasting, and we hang out in a little chat group together, and all Susan sends us yummy recipes, and they're really yummy. It's not hard, but it's a kind of a nutritional, it's a little stop point, isn't it, where you get to reset your health. Is that what you think?
Yeah, so it's based on the fasting mimicking diet. So it's a longevity diet where our body thinks we're fasting for 5 days, but we're able to eat really nutritious food during that time and sit under a calorie sort of ceiling. So the body's restoring, it's just, letting old cells die off, rejuvenating and regenerating new cells, reducing inflammation, helping with our cholesterol and blood sugar regulation. And if you're a person like me who has an autoimmune condition to manage, it's something that's great to do every quarter. So my winter fast will be like mostly soups, and I'm just in the process of creating those recipes. I love soups too. I should open a soup kitchen. And
it's soupy. As soupy, I love the idea of a soupy. Yeah, soups are soupy, aren't they? You can like pack so many nutrients into something, and you can make those sexy wee seedy crackers and
all those things.
I love that. Hey, so if anyone wants to know more about you, they can find you at susanhunter.com.au.
That's me.
I'm very excited. Thank you so much for talking to me today. And I'm going to send all of your details to everybody in case they want to know more about if you're in Melbourne, Susan does delicious lunch and learns and lovely little programs and does lots online. So Susan lives in Melbourne. I am in New Zealand, and we work together all the time. So, distance is not a problem. It's just about finding amazing people that you feel comfortable with that are going to support you in being the best version of yourself, right? I reckon that's That's the point. Have a body team. So everyone on my podcast is I'm going to share all my body team people. And I'm very, very happy to share Susan with you. She is so lovely. And if you get the chance to work with her, you would be one of the lucky ones like me. One of the lucky ones. Hey, thank you, Susan. That was so nice.
That was great. Thank you.
So nice. I feel, oh my God, I already feel quite motivated now. I might go and drink some water and, I don't know, take extra. I might go and do 15 squats. My bum will die. God, I haven't done squats in a while. Maybe I'll do that. Right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your love with the Energy Club. It's been amazing.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.